I'm going to hand over to David Kurten, who is a representative of UKIP, and I'm keen to hear what UKIP's position is on the current unfolding situation with Brexit.
Of course, yeah. Thank you very much. Okay. Well, lovely to be here, everybody. You probably know me as a London Assembly member, and every month we have Mayor's Question Time, and I get to put questions to the London Mayor, Sadiq Khan. And now let's be polite. Okay, he's not here to defend it. Oh, okay. He's not here to defend himself, but I don't think he likes me too much, actually, because I've been on the London Assembly for 3 years, and he's never come up and asked to have a selfie with me. Never. So there's actually no photograph of me with Sadiq Khan anywhere in the world, as far as I know. But you know, he might be justified, because I do put him on the spot sometimes, as he's well known as one of the arch Remainers who would be very, very happy if Brexit was overturned. And I mean, he's come out in support of having a second referendum. And when he did that, I said to him in the chamber in the London Assembly, look, Mr. Mayor, don't you realise more people in London voted for Brexit than voted for you to be mayor? He didn't really like that too much. But that reflects the wider country as well. We mustn't forget that more people voted for Brexit than voted to stay in the European Union. And when Juncker and Verhofstadt and all these people from the European Union, Tusk, and so on, say we've got to respect the 5 million or 6 million people who've signed this petition, we must remember, of course, the 17.4 million people who went to the ballot box and they voted to leave. And that's all that matters in this debate.
Right.
And if you remember back to about 3 years ago, we were all campaigning and fighting to leave the European Union. But the language has subtly changed. I don't know if you remember 3 years ago, but Brexit wasn't really a word. The first time I actually heard the word Brexit was about March or April 2016. But the words we used were very simple. Are you in or are you out? Do you want to leave or do you want to remain? It was a simple in-out choice. Nobody talked about Brexit much until after the referendum. And then people started to use that word to confuse the situation. So we could have a hard Brexit, a soft Brexit, a red Brexit, a purple Brexit, a red, white and blue Brexit, WTO Brexit, Norway Brexit, all these different options. But what we got to remember is on the ballot paper it says leave or remain. And the language which the politicians use who want to overturn Brexit is very, very clever. And of course they're backed up by the mainstream media. And you see it every day, you hear it every day. They use this language, we're going to crash out, we're going to jump off a cliff, we've got to avoid a catastrophe. This is programming language which makes people afraid. But we haven't really had too much of a strong response to that.
Correct.
But we need to have that response and call out this language which is being used to muddy the waters and to try to shackle us to the European Union. That's the language to use, because what we're doing is we're walking into freedom. And that's what people voted for. And the arguments that I hear today, it's quite remarkable, really, that we are still 3 years nearly after the referendum going through the same arguments again and again. It's as though time stopped in 2016 and we're just rehearsing the debate over again, even when we've won the right to leave. But very often, everyone just mentions trade. Now, trade is a very, very important thing. But there are many other reasons why people voted to leave the European Union, and sometimes it was a combination. Now, what I would put it down to in a nutshell is 8 things. People voted to take back control of our sovereignty, our laws, our borders, our fishing waters, our agriculture, our trade, our money, and to keep control of our armed forces. But when you hear people debating always mention trade, but never ever do I hear any of the other 7 things mentioned anymore in people who are debating and trying to persuade us all to stay in the EU. And that's because they have no argument whatsoever which will stand up under the weight of scrutiny among the 17.4 million and even more who have joined us now. There is simply no argument to say that if we don't get back our sovereignty, it's a bad thing. It's a good thing in every single way. It's a good thing in every single way to come out of the common fisheries policy, to take back control of our money, the £39 billion. And that's just a figure which is stuck in the air, but we can't really visualize what that is too much. I want to give you a visual key here, which may make people understand how much money that is. If you imagine a football stadium, Premier League football stadium, full up with 40 or 50,000 people on a Saturday afternoon. Now, the average annual salary of a normal person outside the London bubble here, it's about £25,000 a year. So if you imagine a full football stadium, £1 billion, just 1 billion, is a year's annual salary for the entire audience in a football stadium. That's just 1 billion. So 39 billion would be the annual salary of 39 football stadia. That's probably everybody who goes to watch a football match all over England and Wales on one weekend. And the EU says, we're going to take all of that money from all of those people and you're not going to have it. We're just going to take it. Basically, it's a bit of theft. We don't need to give it up because there's absolutely no good reason to do it. And that's what people voted for. So if you put it in those kind of terms that people can visualize, the people who are trying to overturn our exit from the European Union have absolutely no leg to stand on whatsoever in arguing. And of course, even when it comes to trade, we will have the right to make our free trade agreements with countries around the world. And we've already struck deals with Switzerland and Norway and Iceland to continue trading with them without any hiccups and hassles when we leave. We could do that with the European Union under GATT Article 24 by mutual agreement. GATT Article 24 of the World Trade Organization is something the mainstream media is desperate not to talk about. And whenever you get these so-called experts on, they rubbish the idea. But by simple mutual agreement, we can continue to trade tariff and quota free with the European Union if they wanted to do that. So we would be able to continue without any hiccups in our trading goods. They don't want us to know that. They don't even want us to think about that. So where are we at the moment? It's simply very, very hard to know because things change on a daily basis and an hourly basis. But I'll pick up on something that the other speakers have already said. The country is crying out for a truly conservative party. And what we have with the so-called Conservative Party across the river in Parliament is what I call the fake Conservative Party. Yes, there's a handful of people who are true Conservatives, people like Owen Paterson, John Redwood, that I still have respect for. But the majority of them are either just careerists or they're actively unconservative. At best, social democrats, at worst, cultural Marxists. What you might have missed yesterday, in amongst all of the voting in these 8 indicative votes, there was another vote that took place. And this, as UKIP's former education spokesman is something that I had more mail about than anything else. Because yesterday, by 538 votes to 21, the MPs in Parliament passed that compulsory LGBT inclusive relationships education is going to be implemented in all of our primary schools from September 2020. And that's something which is causing great worry and consternation to parents and grandparents and social conservatives, true conservatives up and down the country. So that's something else that has happened underneath all of the cacophony of Brexit. But it just indicates that the people who say they're conservative in Parliament are trying to overturn and stand against what true conservatives want. We want to come out of the European Union. We want a party that will represent the free market, social conservatism and free speech, and not sign up to all these laws which are trying to overturn free speech and hate speech laws and hate crime laws and definitions of things that you can and cannot say. And if you remember back to a time maybe 20, 30 years ago, everyone was free, or you felt you had a lot more freedom to make jokes, to have banter, to say what you want to say about any topic in the world that you wanted to say. But the strictures on freedom of speech are closing in, and what we're allowed to say is getting narrower and narrower, and the threats to people for speaking and saying things which are deemed to be politically incorrect are growing larger and larger. And it's the Labour Party, the Lib Dem Party, and the so-called Conservative Party that doesn't deserve the name. So where I think we are and what we need is a party to rise up out of this mess that represents true conservatism. It may be that we can get rid of the top echelons of the current Conservative Party because the grassroots are good. I have no problem with the grassroots in the branches in the Conservative Party who are horrified at how Theresa May's government is overturning Brexit. But I don't hold out much hope. I'm in UKIP, and I hope UKIP can be that party. Maybe we will. Or maybe there will be a great realignment in British politics, and all true conservatives will come together. But when we do, and if we do, then we will have the Brexit that we want, which is leaving the European Union in full. And we will have a party which resonates with the vast majority of people in this country. It will be a party that will be invincible at the ballot box, that will deliver our independence and will rebuild the foundations of this nation and make this country great again.
Thank you very much, David. Now,